Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am Club. As you can probably see, I'm on a ferry here on my way to Pyrmont. I'm just pulling out of the Barangaroo Wharf, and it's a glorious, absolutely glorious autumn Sydney day. Not a cloud in the sky, and this week we've enjoyed a beautiful, awesome full moon and an eclipse to boot. So a wonderful time of year, and as I say time and time again, autumn is without doubt the best season of the year to enjoy Sydney, and today is where Sydney is at its finest, expressing its glorious beauty. Anyway, what I want to do today is take you on a walk and talk. We're almost at the Pyrmont jetty over here, and I want to take you through a book summary entitled 2030 by Mauro Guillen. Mauro Guillen talks to us. He's a futurist and talks to us about what we may expect in 2030. Not quite sure if I'm going to be around in 2030, but it's interesting and important, I guess, just to see and hear what this author has to say in order to prepare us. So the author kicks off with a nice little quote where he says that breakthroughs occur not when someone works with the established paradigm, but when assumptions are abandoned, rules are ignored, and creativity runs amok. A very interesting way to start a book. So he also goes on to say that who could have predicted what would have happened in 2020? How 2020 with COVID-19, with floods, with bushfires, with elections and all of those things, who could have predicted how different 2020 was compared to all of the years that preceded it? And it just goes to show that things can change dramatically, things can change in a heartbeat, and the world can become a very, very different place very, very quickly. So the first formal point that the author comes up with is where he talks about the dramatic change in the population of the world, and he reminds us that the birth rate has been declining for many, many years, and he'll give us a bit of a insight into what causes this reduction in birth rate. And it's quite interesting because I hadn't quite thought about it this way, and I hadn't quite appreciated, because as we say, we do have our own little paradigms and our own little assumptions that we live by, but sometimes to understand what's going on in the background can help us a lot in terms of understanding what will transpire into the future. So the author says something here which I wasn't aware of, as I said, and that overpopulation, the whole concept of overpopulation, is no longer a problem and no longer a big issue, because what's happening at the moment is that we're experiencing throughout the world a global baby drought. A global baby drought. Who would have thought of that? So we're experiencing, as I said, a global baby drought, and it's been happening since the 70s. So basically, in my generation, the world has been going through a thing called a baby drought, where the birth rates across the Western world, at least, have been declining at an increasing rate. So why are births decreasing at an increasing rate, you may want to ask, given that I guess we all think that the world is expanding at a rapid rate. But I guess I'm an example. I'm a perfect example of why the birth rate is reducing across the world, because my parents came to Australia, and let me find where they are. They're on number 8 here. Here we go. My parents, my good parents. Where are they? Here they are. My father, Panayotis Panaras, and my mother, Katina Kalbaxis, came to Australia. They migrated to Australia, and they left all that they knew behind, their family, their friends, and they came to start a new life in a new country. And they worked, like all migrants, very, very hard and very, very long hours. And because of the pressures of having two parents working continuously, makes it harder, much harder, to have a bigger family. So the authors here remind us that the economic system in the advanced economies of the world depend on the next generation to take care of the previous generation. So the fact that families are having fewer children, less children than are required to facilitate and to help the next generation get through, it is becoming a bit of a problem for governments and administrators to figure out how they're going to fund the next generation. I think this is is this the next or the last wall that was put up? I think this one here is brand new with all these new names here. But I'll keep on walking, and I encourage people to get their names, the names of their parents or any of the migrants who came to Australia, to be presented on that wall. But what they're saying, and as I say, I've experienced it, I guess, in my own family, is that because women have come into the workforce and women will continue to make a bigger and bigger percentage of the workforce, then the birth rate has decreased because women are busy. Women are busy working. Women are busy running corporations, running businesses. And the fact that the whole structure of the family has changed over the past couple of decades means that the reality is that families are going to be having fewer children on average. And the other challenge, of course, is that because women are finishing school, going on to university, starting challenging careers, there is also that tendency to get married a little later. And just by getting married later, we all understand the biology of the reproductive systems. By starting later, the birth rate is also challenged because the birth rate and fertility declines with age. So that's one of the reasons. And the other interesting reason is that in this day and age, people are having less sex. And why are people having less sex? It's not because they don't enjoy sex, but there are a lot of distractions. I haven't quite thought about this before, but it makes sense when you sit and think about it. You know, years ago, maybe 30 years ago, if you're single, if you were divorced, if you weren't in a relationship, then there was nothing much to do from a entertainment perspective. But these days, with social media, with the level of divorced and single people in the world. There's a lot more things to do to pass your time. And as we said, with technology, there's a lot of entertainment. People have today a lot more entertainment options than what they would have had years ago, which means that they don't really need to indulge in sexual activities for enjoyment and pleasure. As we said, there are so many other things that people can do to pass their time and enjoy themselves without being dependent on other people. So the next point to come out of this book from this author is that this is a real beauty. This is a beauty. What they're saying here is that women will have over 50% of the world's wealth by 2030, which is powerful. There has never been a time in the history of mankind where women have had a greater share of the global wealth. And how does this come about? It's pretty easy. You only have to, see the results from schools, from university, to understand that women are doing a lot better. Girls are doing a lot better than boys at school. They're joining university in droves. I think the university enrolments now, the majority now have been tipped in the favour of women. And from a corporate perspective, you can also see that women are starting to hold some senior positions, and I guess the past 20 years have shown that women can mix it in the boardroom, across all industries, even in construction now. I'm going to a meeting now with the union, and a lot of the senior positions within the CFMEU are run by women, believe it or not. So the bottom line is that women are going to have more wealth than ever before over the next decade, and it's going to be an interesting experiment, I guess, to see how that money gets invested, because the author here mentions, and I agree with this because I always have discussions with my wife in terms of how we invest and how aggressive we need to be, and it says that women tend to be more cautious when it comes to investing, and hence probably better at managing the risks, because we men are quite careless and I guess out of control sometimes. We don't take the risks as seriously. And the last point to come out of this book from this author is the fact that cryptocurrencies will definitely be on the rise over the next decade, actually. 2030 is only 10 years from here. So people are going to get more comfortable. And the reason why cryptocurrencies are going to take off, according to the author, only time will tell, of course, is that people are getting more comfortable with more abstract forms of money, given that we do a lot more electronic banking these days, and cash is a lesser sort of thing that we use to transact. So the author is saying here that by 2030, cryptocurrency will become mainstream. Interesting. Very, very interesting. As I say, I don't really understand cryptocurrency. Spoken to my broker, my stockbroker, about it. He says to steer clear of it for the time being. But I guess we'll see over time. But this author here seems to suggest that cryptocurrency will become mainstream by 2030 because it has a beauty. Cryptocurrency has an advantage over all other currencies in that it's independent of government, it's independent of banks, and it's shown on public record, and that public record is called blockchain. This new blockchain technology allows us to have a technology that makes cryptocurrency very, very secure, and very, very auditable and traceable. And it's considered to be the world's most secure currency. So a revolution in how money is managed and used, and something to at least think about and consider. So there you go. Thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club. As I said, I'm just coming down here to Pyrmont, to the headquarters of the CFMEU, to go to a delegates meeting today. I'll also need to leave during that meeting because I've got my COVID-19 jab at 10:30, and we'll see how we go. But everything is looking good, and I'm very, very positive and can't wait to do the right thing and express my social conscience. So there we go. Take care, everybody. We'll chat again later from a different place, from a different location, with a different message, a message of empowerment, and hopefully we can be the wind beneath our wings, and wishing everybody a happy Friday, a happy beginning of the week, and we'll chat again. Take care. I'll just go and get a hot chocolate now just to warm up on this chilly day, but as I said, it's a clear, beautiful day, and those leaves will slowly be dropping now that we're in autumn. Take care. Yasas. Bye for now.